Well, now we're going to start wiring the Sport EFIS screen, and this gets a little bit funky. What they give you, they have it designated A and B. This is the A one. Red is going to be power, black is going to be ground. Then they give you this other bundle of wire that actually have the little D sub connectors, those little pins on the end of that will actually just fit in back. Most of this connection is just going to be for serial input and serial output. And I have 3 ins and 3 outs on mine. This is the Sport EX. Here's serial in 1, 2, and 3, serial out 1, 2, and 3. So serial 1 is going to be for my FlySafe GPS, because this FlySafe GPS will actually give you additional serial ins and serial outs, and it talks to this guy here. So it's a little bit confusing, but anyway, the 1 is going to go to my in and out of the FlySafe. I need that. The other one is going to go to my ADSB receiver, so I can get ADSB traffic in and out. That's going to be on my serial 2 input and serial out on the output side. And my serial in3 on this will be going to my Autopilot. And the serial 3 out will also be going to my Autopilot system. All right, have the connections made, all the wires inside of these slots here. And what I end up doing is I have labeled here input 1, input 2, input 3, and then output 1, 2, and 3. Power and ground, which is already on. I went ahead, I was debating whether to do the input 4, 5, and 6 and the output 4, 5, and 6. I don't have that function set up on mine yet, or I don't actually plan on using it. I decided to go ahead and wire in the connections. I'm just going to tie these up for now in case I end up activating that function. That's a good thing about GRT. You can activate different functions later on. In case I end up activating that function, I'll have these wires already in place. And then the other ones I kind of forgot about were these two. I end up installing these as my own wire here. This is for the Trig transponder. So this part will connect to the Trig transponder wires. The A connection, all wired up, got that secured on here, tied up the excess, and then I got a little bundle of wires sticking out there. But I can't do much with those until I wire up my ADSB in and my ADSB out GPS up here, because all this is going to be connecting along with my transponder that's underneath that seat down there. I haven't made the wiring bundle for that yet either. So I'm gonna make the wiring bundle for all those 3 things. The next thing I'm wiring up now is the SafeFly 2020 GPS serial combiner. And that, like I said before, that gives me my ADSB out, going to my transponder, GPS, and EFIS screen. So I'm doing the wiring on here, and it had a few wires already connected. Some of the simple wires, like this going to the EFIS screen, those 2 wires, the positive, the negative, and this blue wire is an extra wire, I guess. It says it's not used in the manual. But that little device, that GPS combiner is what it's called, it actually gives you access to 3 more serial in and serial out ports. In the serial 1 in right now, and then we'll go on to serial 2, serial 3 in, and then serial 1, 2, and 3 out. And then we'll go ahead and put the shell on that and plug her in. As far as labeling goes, they have serial in and serial outs. I have a serial in 1, 2, and 3, and a serial out 1, 2, 3, and then an extra 3rd out. They have an extra pin connection in case you need a 4th out, I guess. Along with serial controller in and out. That serial controller is what makes this FlySafe GPS talk to the Sport EFIS. So I need an in and out for that, for the Sport EFIS. So that's where that's going to go. The other wire out of the FlySafe GPS, again, this is for the 2020 compliant ADSB out. I have a GPS signal going out to the Trig transponder. And I also have an ADSB in and out or I guess just in, going through the, from the GPS to this Trig radio unit. So I can pre-select some of my airports en route. So that GPS will actually talk to that. My engine information system, I said it was going to be a direct connection from the EIS to the Sport EFIS, and it's not. I'm actually going to go through one of the serial ports on my FlySafe GPS. No other reason other than I didn't have enough serial in and outs on the Sport EFIS screen to connect that to this. So I end up going to route it through my FlySafe GPS, but that's it. FlySafe SafeFly 2020 GPS combiner. That's what I just did right there. The only thing I got left is the GPS or the ADSB in and the transponder, which is underneath the seat. Got to wire that one, and then I do have this little bundle of wires down here for the radio. And again, I don't really have to make up a harness, I don't believe, for that. It's just a matter of plug and play. On the EFIS screen, there's an Alpha connector and a Bravo connector. And I don't have much on the Bravo connector. Actually, I don't have anything right now, but I'm gonna make up this Bravo connector next. And what they give you for the Bravo connection, just like everything else, pretty standard. They give you a little pin connection and a bunch of pre-wired wires here, and all you gotta do is snap those in the appropriate pin slot. All right, connector B for the Sport EFIS up there somewhere. Got that connected, and the wires I put in there, I'm just gonna show you the diagram. I got audio output, ground, audio output, then the analog 1 through 4s. That's the only ones I got wired up. I'm just gonna tie off my analog 1 through 4s for now. Not sure I'll actually even use them, and in case I do later, I at least have them wired already. But the primary is for my audio output, so when there's a warning, it'll be audible throughout my headset. All right, pin out for the B pin out on the EFIS screen is now installed. Next thing I'm going to do is the ADSB in, this little connection here. It already has 2 pins. I imagine that's positive, negatives already in there. And then it came with the little antenna I'm gonna put on the bottom of the fuselage. But anyway, came with that little shell there. So we'll see what other pinouts I need to install on this guy here and get this one done. The ADSB in connection is pretty easy. As I said before, the red is the power, black is ground. They're pins 1 and 5. And the only 2 pins I inserted are the violet and the gray. And that's to the GRT EFIS in and out. All right, ADSB in wiring. Again, 4 wires, positive, negative, and the serial in and out that will eventually connect to this EFIS screen up there. And here's the wire, the antenna portion for that. Again, I'm gonna run that down underneath the pilot seat. Well, the wiring for my transponder, put some wires in this guy here that goes into there. Here's what it's gonna be. I kind of did a little breakdown. And pin number 15, I got my power bank. That's gonna go to my circuit breakers. The power slot's gonna go to my circuit breakers. 15. 5 is gonna be the GPS for my FlySafe GPS. So it gets GPS data in there. These 2 are gonna connect to the EFIS screen, since my EFIS screen is gonna be my control head for the transponder. So that I can communicate back and forth. And they say they have 2 grounds. All right, just showing where I'm routed the transponder wires. I'm not sure if you can see back down into there or not. Coming off there, exiting, and going up the side into here. Again, all these aren't the transponder wires, but here's a positive transponder wire. That's going in there underneath the panel, coming back out up here and connected to the power bus. The GPS, it goes from the FlySafe GPS back over yonder. It goes from that guy. There's a yellow wire coming out. You can see it right here. And that's the GPS, and this is connected to the transponder, the blue wire from the transponder itself. There's 2 wires, goes from the transponder back to the EFIS screen up top there. And those are these 2 wires down there. There's 2 white wires. They come up. You got those connected, joined on right there to the orange wires. It's A8 and A9 on the EFIS screen. And the last are the ground wires coming off here. I got two grounds coming off here. Wire up the Sport EFIS screen. And primarily what we have are the serial in and outs. There's a total of 6 wires there. And if I go to my little book here, serial 1 in and out, actually go to the FlySafe GPS, which is that guy there. Again, so it's going to be a short run. I'm going to connect those wires. Serial 2 in and out is going to be my ADSB in and out, so I get signal for that. And that's going to be, again, another short run here. These wires here are just going to go to that wire over there. These wires are going to go to that wire for the ADSB. And the last, or the in and out for serial 3, is going to be the Autopilot in and out. So I'll find the wires for that. And then, of course, we already did the A8 and A9, which is specific to the transponders. So I'll wire the serial ins, serial outs, and then I got the B connector, audio out, then the audio ground, and those are these wires coming off here. And the only other ones, I got the in and outs for the Sport, and then I also have the ground and positive. I need to get that hooked up too. So we'll connect all those and I'll show you when I'm done. I'm going to show kind of how I'm joining 2 wires together. I've thought about this extensively, how I want to do this. I couldn't come up with a great way. What I was going to use are these solder sleeves. And what they have is I was going to put the ends of both wires where they join in the middle there, and then heat that up. And that solder in the middle melts, and it penetrates both the wires. They are joined that way. On each end you got some adhesive, and this is heat shrink tubing as well, so it kind of joins the 2 wires mechanically with the adhesive on each end, and then you got the solder in the middle. I just didn't like the way they were turning out. I don't have a lot of room to work, and to melt that solder required slightly more than a heat gun, like a little bit of a flame. I'm working in kind of a confined area, so I didn't like how that was working. So what I ended up doing is I got way too many of these connections here. These are the aircraft grade type connectors that you crimp on with the ratcheting crimping pliers. And what I'm doing is I'm taking off the end of that, so leaving this little nub here with my Dremel tool, and getting the 2 ends of the wires, twisting them together, and then crimping them. And then I got heat shrink on the end of that, covering the entire assembly there. And then I got them labeled. And that's how I'm joining my wires together. I know there are probably better methods, but that's what I'm doing. All right, I have serial 1 and 2 all connected. Serial 3, which are these guys here, there's an in and out for those gray wires there. And they're going to be connected to the Autopilot. The Autopilot is kind of a unique situation where this bundle is for pitch, that bundle is for roll, and each pitch and roll has a serial in and a serial out. So what you have to do is join, here's serial in for both pitch and roll, so those two will go together. And what I'm going to do is for serial in on this one, I'm going to go to the serial out on the EFIS screen. So these 3 wires will get joined together. I'm going to use a blue connection. I'm going to join them the same way I did on these. I'm going to use a blue connection because that's a bigger diameter. It'll fit all 3 wires in. So we're going to do that next. And after I do the ends, and then of course the pitch and roll both have their independent outs. So there'll be 2 wires going to the in on the other one here. And that's just a little bit unique compared to the other ones. All right, I got my serial ports 1, 2, and 3 connected now. Autopilot Connections. You can see I have I got a little blue connection on that one. That's Sport / Autopilot out. And the other one, Sport Autopilot in. Again, 3 wires on that. and the gray is my in and out for my serial ports. Serial port number 3, I think, is where I put that one. Just want to show as a reminder to myself where I wired the positive in and negative on the sport EFIS. I got the black and red wire there. They're both dumping down into that little grommet. The black is coming up over here on my ground bus. Kind of comes around there and dumps back into that terminal right there for my ground. And the positive, that red wire, that's kind of, nothing's wanting to focus right now. That red wire coming up over, making a little arc, going to that first terminal right there on that bus bar. That's going to be for my the sport EFIS power in. All right, going back to the FlySafe GPS unit. I have a few more wires here. I got actually 3 wires plus the positive and negative, red and black. 2 of these wires are going to communicate the EIS to the sport, give the information from the EIS to the sport via this guy. There's serial ports in to this, where typically that would be what would be connected to one of the serial ports in here, but I have higher priority items being inputted into here. And this FlySafe GPS, I know it's a little confusing, actually will give you additional serial ports for this guy, like 3 additional serial ports. So I'm using one of the serial ports, which are 2 of these wires are in and outs, and they're going to go to my in and out on my EIS. So they're going to be placed right here, the in and outs on that. So again, what that'll do is it'll feed this information to my sport via this guy. All right, I believe one of the last connections for my serial out on my, I've been calling it FlySafe, but I guess it's SafeFly 2020 GPS, was my serial number 3 out. And I connected this wire, serial number 3 out, to my audio GPS, crimp that connection like I have been on the others, and that goes up to the panel mounted version, this guy up here. And what that does, being hooked up to a GPS, is supposed to preload some of the frequencies via the GPS system. All right, here's my power on my bus. I got a sport power for the EFIS, the FlySafe GPS, and then the ADSB in. And then I also have the FlySafe on my ground lug over there, along with the ADSB in, sharing the same lug on that one. Back to the Autopilot connections here. I got just about 4 wires left over. Actually, I had 5. This blue one's not used for my application, so I'm just wrap that one up. And the 2 reds will get joined together, and they'll go to my Autopilot on-off switch right there. And the other 2 wires, the yellow, and then the yellow looks like gray maybe, they'll be on my roll and pitch, engage, disengage momentary buttons there. All right, have the Autopilot wires connected here. I did go ahead and, I don't know where you can see it. Actually, this one right here is the 2 servo positive wires. I splice them together, connect it to my switch. This one's going to my bus. Back over there, it's the 4th one over from left to right. It's the 4th one over, and that's the Autopilot bus. And these guys were kind of a pain. They have like little screws and then a hole that you're supposed to screw the wire into and kind of sandwich it. That didn't work real well with stranded wire. It kind of splits the stranded wire up into small pieces. I didn't feel comfortable that holding real well, so I ended up putting little metal connectors. I think they're the D sub pins. Cut those down just so I have some metal that I'm actually screwing into the wire. So I'm crimping the D sub pins on there and then screwing that into the D sub pin right there, if that makes any sense. The grounds I have spliced together right there, and they're going down under, back up, and coming around that guy right there, and it's sharing the first lug there. I'm going to work on the back on the radio wiring for now. What I have is this bundle going on right here, and before I know how much I can stretch this, I need to get my push to talk number 1 wired up. So that connects to here. It has 2 wires on this side of that, comes down here and exits this guy here. I put some heat shrink tubing on that in case it's going to rub right there. 1 wire going forward there is going to be the push to talk ground wire. I'm going to bring that up front, and the other push to talk wire is going to be routed right here, and that's connected to my other, the white bundle of wires is all my radio wires coming out from the back, and of course there's my mic wires back there. I put D sub pin connectors on that. I'm going to put 1 more heat shrink tubing on that. All right, here's my push to talk number 1. Kind of see the connection I used there, and I went forward with that and put the ground in that little loom there and kind of stowed some of that up a little bit better than what it was. And there's no binding or anything or any weirdness going on with that wire right there. I do have to put 1 more a little clip down there to help stow that wire, but other than that, I'm working on the ground. Actually, number 1, actually come up here. I'm just terminating right there. It'll go on this little bus right there. I'll probably join it with the other push to talk. The other push to talk switch which is push to talk number 2, is that little button over there. So I end up having to solder these 2 things on. Again, that's not the standard in the aircraft, but it's non-critical to flight, really. This is my push to talk number 2 switch. And yeah, sometimes you have to do that, I guess. All right, 2 wires coming down there are joined together. Push to talk 1, push to talk 2, and going to the ground bus. All right, my Trig comm radio, wired up the positive, going to that positive bus right here. Don't have the fuse in it yet, but I wired up the positive bus here. Also, I again push to talk 1 and 2 is going to that terminal there, and on the other side of that I have the ground for the Trig radio there. Next thing is going to be the auxiliary in, and it comes off the EFIS system, and this is an audio in. This will, or actually I'm sorry, audio out. It's going to give me the annunciations, warnings, that type of thing. Maybe hopefully traffic alert, I'm hoping. All that through this wire out, going to this wire in of my comm radio wire bundle, and this will be the last one to connect. Just going to join these 2 together and tie those up a little bit. All this stuff is not tied finally.